Hey, what's up, you guys? Bringing another action figure review to you. And here I have a very classic figure, quite literally. Um, it's a DC Universe classic, Jimmy Olsen figure. So he's kind of a rare figure. I've been after this figure for a while now, so very happy to add him to my collection. I mean, how could I not want this figure? If I am the completionist I say I am, he's a character that's very important to the Superman mythos. I mean, he's literally Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. So I really like the sculpting of him. I mean, this really looks like Jimmy Olsen down to his freckles. I mean, he's a ginger, you know. The sculpting of his hair is great. The freckles in his face, his eyes, his nice vibrant smile, you know, and his bow tie and suit, which is very nice sculpt as well. Nice creases in his suit pants, his suit. His shirt is nice with the buttons. And it's the only accessory he comes with besides the display stand that I had him standing on. So this is very nicely sculpted as well, this camera that he's holding. At first I was like, oh, it's just a plain old sculpt. But then when I'm looking at it through my camera, it's actually a very nice sculpt. That's very nice. Has a nice little translucent blue in it. So he's a very solid figure. And I'm happy to add him to my Superman collection. So articulation goes as much to the left, to the right. He can't look up or down, anything like that. He does have a 360 rotation. He has an upper bicep swivel, single joint at the elbow. He does have a 360-degree turn at the wrist. That's about it. Nothing in the waist or diaphragm. Single jointed knee. No upper thigh cut. And a slight shoe rotation there. So that's about it for articulation for Mr. Jimmy Olsen. I think he's a really solid figure. I didn't think at first, when I first started collecting that this was a figure that I would ever want. But the more and more I thought about it, especially you see Perry White back there with my Superman. This was a figure that more and more I thought about it that I really needed. And that's okay. So this is the display stand that he comes with. The same one as my Perry White, It's the same for all of them in this collection. So, yes, like I was saying, Mr. Jimmy Olsen is a very important character in the Superman mytho. He's Superman's pal, and ironically, he's Clark Kent's pal as well. Jimmy Olsen is like one of the only few people, if maybe the only one, before Lois found out who Clark really was, who really liked Clark Kent, for Clark Kent, and really respects him as a human being, because pretty much almost everybody, I mean, not even only at the Daily Planet, but just in general, everybody just disrespects Clark Kent because they just see him as this bumbling, nerdy guy. But Jimmy Olsen is like one of the few people who actually really like Clark Kent, just for Clark Kent. So he's a pal of Superman's and he's a pal of Clark Kent, which, he's been an important part of the Superman mythos for a very long time. Now, is he the most important character? No. But he's a character that's been important and that's been a part of the Superman lore for a very long time. You got Jimmy Olsen, you got Lois Lane, and you got Clark Kent. I mean, he's the photographer, and Clark and Lois are the reporters, and that's a trio that's just transcended through time, in the comic books. I've never been like the biggest Jimmy Olsen fan. I don't really know anybody who is, but you can't deny the importance of his character in the comic books, or else he wouldn't have lasted for this long. You know what I mean? So, it really has to be something there. and I believe it is. He's Superman pal. I mean, Jimmy Olsen, he even had his own comics back in the day. I only read a few of them, but he had his own comics back in the day called Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen. So it's just really cool. It's really cool to have this figure, and he really is beautifully sculpted. Like I have to say, like you know, it would have probably been a little disappointing for me if the sculpting on this guy was half-assed, but it's not. I mean, they got Jimmy Olsen down to a T, to the freckles, to those freckles on his cheeks. They got him down packed. They gave him a nice, vibrant smile, which most of the time he is. Get beautifully sculpted of his hair, and gave him the suit with a bow tie. So, can't really ask for more. I mean, maybe his outfit is a little outdated, and so is the camera. I think because this figure is based on like the 19, I don't know, maybe the 1940s or 50s. Perry White's suit still works in today's time because even in the new comics, that's how Perry White looks. So, my Perry White figure back there, which I did a review on him. You could check that out on my channel. But his suit works, and Jimmy Olsen's suit could still work in this day and age. I guess him being a nerdy guy, but the camera definitely doesn't work because that's just an old school camera. But I'm still gonna display him like that because that's a part of his character. He's a photographer. But yeah, I mean, even though this is based on the earlier era, probably the 1940s and 50s, this is a great figure. He's really beautifully sculpted, and that's just another big reason why I wanted to pick this figure up, and I want to add him to my Superman collection. So, with that being said, this has been my review of the DC Universe Classics, Jimmy Olsen. Happy to bring this review to you guys, and to the next time, guys, see ya.